After an incredibly demanding day, a lawyer returned home late, having exerted great effort to prevent a client's execution. Despite his attempts to secure clemency from the governor at the last moment, it proved unsuccessful, leaving him exhausted and disheartened. Upon entering his house, his wife immediately launched into a litany of complaints about his late arrival, the cold dinner, and her refusal to warm it up. Too fatigued to engage in their usual arguments, the lawyer opted for a glass of whiskey and sought solace in a lengthy, warm bath. As he ascended the stairs, his wife continued with her sarcastic remarks. During his bath, the telephone rang. His wife answered and was surprised to learn that the lawyer's client, James Wright, had been granted clemency. The execution had been halted, bringing a positive turn of events for the condemned man. Realizing that her husband had indeed faced a trying day, the wife decided to share the good news and hopefully uplift his spirits. Opening the bathroom door, she discovered her husband, sans clothing, bending down to dry his legs and feet. In response to her announcement about dinner, he turned around exasperatedly and exclaimed, "For the love of God, woman, can it wait?" A young couple, on the brink of marriage, had just selected their wedding ring. The ring, a modest yet refined piece crafted from platinum and adorned with a diamond, caught the girl's admiration. However, a hint of concern appeared on her face as she turned to the elderly salesman. Hesitatingly, she asked, "Can you advise me on how to ensure this ring remains as beautiful as it is now?" With a genial and paternal smile, the salesman replied, "One of the most effective ways to preserve a wedding ring's beauty is to immerse it in dishwater 3 times a day." A comedian was booked to perform at a care home for the elderly, and the director shared, "We're really excited you're here. It's pretty rare that we have someone to entertain our residents, as everyone here is dealing with Alzheimer's." Feeling a bit uneasy, the comedian responded, "That doesn't sound too promising." The director reassured him, No, they'll absolutely love you. They're always happy to have some form of entertainment. Please, just try. You'll see." With slight hesitation, the comedian stepped onto the stage and began his act with a joke. The response was huge, and he thought, well, that's a good beginning. Encouraged, he repeated the same joke, and each time the laughter grew louder, with the audience nearly falling off their seats. However, there was one man at the back who observed the show without laughing, just rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Finally, the comedian repeated the joke one last time, concluded his act with "Good night, everyone," and received thunderous applause and a standing ovation from the joyful crowd. As he was exiting, the comedian walked past the thoughtful man at the back. The man commented, "You put on quite a show." The comedian, feeling pleased, thanked him graciously. The man then inquired, "Can I ask you something? How do you manage to remember all those jokes?" A woman walks into a tackle shop to purchase a rod and reel for her grandson's birthday. Unsure of which one to choose, she selects one and approaches the counter, where she notices a cashier wearing dark shades. Politely she inquires, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me anything about this rod and reel?" The cashier responds, "Ma'am, I'm completely blind, but if you drop it on the counter, I can tell you everything from the sound it makes." Although skeptical, the woman drops it on the counter. The cashier confidently states, "That's a 6-foot Shakespeare graphite rod with a Zebco 404 reel and 10 lb test line. It's a good all-around combination, and it's on sale this week for only $20. Impressed, the woman decides to make the purchase. As she opens her purse, her credit card falls on the floor. The cashier remarks, "Oh, that sounds like a MasterCard." While bending down to pick up her card, the woman accidentally farts. Initially embarrassed, she realizes the blind clerk couldn't identify the source of the sound. The cashier rings up the sale and says, "That'll be $34.50, please." Confused, the woman questions, "Didn't you tell me the rod and reel were on sale for $20? How did you get $34.50? The cashier explains, "Yes, the rod and reel are $20, but the duck call is $11, and the bear repellent is $3.50. Three gentlemen meet their demise simultaneously in a tragic accident and find themselves in heaven. Welcomed by St. Peter, they receive the only rule of heaven: don't step on the ducks. Upon entering heaven, they discover an abundance of ducks, making it challenging to avoid them. Despite their efforts, the first guy accidentally steps on a duck. In response, St. Peter appears with the least attractive woman the guy has ever seen. Chaining the woman to him, St. Peter declares, "Your punishment for stepping on a duck is to spend eternity chained to this ugly woman." The following day, the second guy also unintentionally steps on a duck. St. Peter reappears, accompanied by another remarkably unattractive woman. He connects the woman to the second guy, proclaiming, "Your punishment for stepping on a duck is to spend eternity chained to this ugly woman." Observing this, the third guy becomes exceedingly cautious, determined not to be shackled to an unattractive woman for eternity. He successfully avoids stepping on any ducks for months. However, one day, St. Peter arrives with the most stunning woman the guy has ever seen: tall, curvaceous, tanned, and exceptionally attractive. Silently, St. Peter chains the woman to the third guy. Elated, the guy turns to the woman and exclaims, "I wonder what I did to deserve being chained to you for all eternity?" The woman responds, "I don't know about you, but I stepped on a duck." A man enters a bar with a robot bartender. The robot asks, "What will you have?" The man requests a martini. The robot crafts an exceptional martini and inquires, "What's your IQ?" The man replies, 168. The robot engages in a conversation about physics, climate change, and AI machine language. Curious, the man returns to the bar later. The robot asks, "What will you have?" The man orders a martini, and once again, the robot delivers a fantastic drink. It then asks, "What's your IQ?" The man responds, 100. The robot shifts the conversation to NASCAR, hunting rifles, and monster trucks. Intrigued by the pattern, the man decides to give it another try. He revisits the bar, and the robot asks, "What will you have?" The man requests a martini, and the robot serves another excellent one. It then inquires, "What's your IQ?" The man admits, about 50. The robot leans in and remarks, "Isn't it terrible, the way Biden stole the election?" A man rushes to the doctor, his cries of pain echoing through the clinic. "Doctor, you have to help me. I've been stung by a bee," he exclaims. Calmly, the doctor reassures him, "Don't worry, I'll apply some cream to it." The man, anxious, protests, "You'll never find that bee. It must be miles away by now." With patience, the doctor clarifies, "No, you misunderstand. I'll apply cream to the spot where you were stung." The man provides more context, saying, "It happened in the garden behind my house." Growing slightly frustrated, the doctor insists, No. I mean, on which part of your body did the bee sting you?" The man, still in pain, confesses, "On my finger. The bee stung my finger, and it's really painful." The doctor, seeking more details, queries, "Which finger?" The man, now flustered, retorts, "How am I supposed to know? All the bees look the same to me." Two elderly ladies were seated comfortably on a patio, engrossed in a conversation about their respective grandchildren. The first lady expressed her frustration, saying, "I always send them gifts, greeting cards, and even checks, and yet they rarely come to visit me." The second older lady responded, "Well, that's odd. I also send checks to my dear grandchildren, and they seem to come and visit me quite frequently. You're so lucky to have grandchildren who appreciate your gestures more than mine respond to mine," said the first lady, sounding quite sad. The second older lady broke into a smile and said, "No, trust me, my grandchildren are just as appreciative as yours." Curious, the first lady asked, "So what's the secret then? Are the checks you send larger than the ones I send?" Looking quite surprised, the other older lady chuckled and replied, "No, not at all. The difference is I just don't put my signature on mine." During their vacation, a tight-knit group of friends stumbled upon a grand five-story hotel that caught their attention with a sign proclaiming, "For women only." Since they were on a girls' trip without their significant others, they decided to explore the unique hotel. The welcoming host explained the setup. 5 floors, each offering a different kind of man, and guests could stay on the floor that matched their preferences. Intrigued, the friends ventured to the first floor, where the sign indicated that all the men were assured and quite average looking. They shared a chuckle, thinking they might find something more appealing on the next floor. Moving on to the second floor, the sign announced that all the men were short but very handsome. While intrigued, they weren't entirely satisfied and decided to explore further. The third floor sign revealed that all the men were tall but quite plain. After a brief debate, the friends, still seeking the ideal match, moved on to the next level. On the fourth floor, they were met with a sign that seemed perfect. All the men were tall and drop-dead gorgeous. Thrilled, they were about to settle down when curiosity got the better of them, prompting a realization that there was still one more floor to explore. With heightened anticipation, they ascended to the fifth and final floor, only to find a sign that read, "There are no men here." This floor was built only to prove that there is no way to please a woman.